So I think I'm going to do a rant video today about the FBI showing up to the door. I've made several videos in the past about FBI and firearms, and it just amazes me the dangerous behavior of people who are pro Second Amendment. How can you be an advocate for Second Amendment and have such terrible ideas about what it means? I made a video a while back where I was talking about the FBI and the ATF overstepping their boundaries. In one video I was talking, well, I guess it was all in the same video. In the video I was talking about the ATF showing up to this guy's door somewhere on the East Coast and asking him if they could see his firearms. They strong-armed him into, or pressured him, or whatever you want to call it, into showing his firearms without a warrant. They didn't have any probable cause, they didn't have anything. What it was is their database said this man bought several firearms at one time, and they wanted to see if it was a straw purchase, meaning did he buy it for somebody else? Well, neighbors were staring at him. I mean, the whole video is self-explanatory. It was ridiculous. They shouldn't have done it. They had every legal right to do it. The idea behind the video is law enforcement comes to the door, don't answer the door. Unless they specifically show you a warrant through the window or something. However, I can completely understand, being a law-abiding citizen, that if the law enforcement came to my door and I didn't feel like I broke any laws, I'd be like, well, I should answer the door. Simply because maybe they need my help. I mean, I understand all that. But if you do answer the door, tell them you're going to need a warrant. The comment section just kind of lit up. Just screaming and hollering how they're going to thump their chest and they're going to tell the FBI a thing or two. And you don't know what you're going to do when you're actually in that position. The guy that I talked about on the East Coast knew that he needed to ask for a warrant, but one of the police officers said, if we have to come back, it's going to be a lot more difficult on you. And so you feel this pressure, and the neighbors are staring at you, and the kid is in the house asleep, and you don't want to wake the kid. And so a whole bunch of things happen, and all of a sudden you're doing exactly the opposite what you always thought you were going to do. Well, then a lot of people said, several people, well, I'll show them, I'll just start, and they're going to shoot at police officers, law enforcement, FBI agents for being on their property. I have no trespassing signs, they're not allowed on my property. Well, I don't know how true that is. There's many states in the country that doesn't allow you to just start shooting at police officers. As a matter of fact, I don't even think they're allowed to do that in the state of Missouri. And Missouri's pretty pro-gun. I think in Missouri, if you're on your property, I think they consider your property your castle. But if somebody's trespassing, they have to be showing some sort of violent action against you, is my understanding. But you can't just go around shooting people. And so this kind of worries me that people just think you can just go around shooting people. Just a few towns over from here do just that. The police came over with a warrant. They had a warrant. The FBI asked the police to go down there and arrest these guys because they were making threats against people. So they start shooting at the police officers, and guess who won? Nope, it wasn't the homeowners. I mean, how are you going to outgun them? I mean, what was the thinking behind that? You know, in a civilized society, which we still live in, believe it or not, if they have a warrant, you go to court and you fight your case there. And then the other thing is so you just advertised on YouTube that your defense is going to be just start shooting police. Well, if you ever do have to defend yourself with a firearm and you're brought in and you're arrested and the prosecutor comes after you, you know what they're going to pull up? All these times that you said, I'm just going to start shooting people. It's going to show that you have a mentality of that you want to harm people with a firearm. The other thing is I talk about SHTF. Stuff hits the fan all the time on this channel, and I try to put a realistic spin on what I think would actually happen in a SHTF situation. I mean, you get all these preppers talking about how the hordes of people are going to come down from the cities and they're going to wipe you out, they're going to decimate you for my 19 chickens or whatever, you know, I got at the time. So, you know, we got 100 people coming down to take my 19 chickens. They're not going to get much food. You know, on their way down, they may want to look at one of those cows out in the field somewhere, and maybe they'll take one of those instead of risking an armed confrontation with somebody in a home. Of course, there's going to be a lot of homes on their way down here that's going to be abandoned, or people are going to have starved to death in their homes or whatever. So they might want to stop in those homes where there's not going to be armed confrontation. That seems a little bit more realistic. But no, they're going to come down here and they're going to take my chickens, and the 19 chickens, and then the word of mouth is going to get out and everybody's going to be coming down to get your chickens. Well, no, word of mouth isn't going to get them out, because first of all, they just took all my chickens, so there's nothing more to take. How does that make sense? So my thinking is, why not set up booby traps around the house? I'm not going to tell you how I actually set up my defense around here, because if I do, then you know how to get around my defense systems. I have a defense system around here that would be quite noticeable if it was actually set off. Traps, I guess, is the best way to put it. So why wouldn't the word of mouth get out? Don't mess with that guy. He's got some serious problems over there. He knows how to take people out. That might be the word of mouth, not my 19 chickens. The 19 chickens, it's not going to be the news story of the day. Everything is revolved around the biggest and the baddest guns that you can have. So the other day, I got this guy who said, I don't know what kind of defense system you got, but I can sure tell you it's not enough. You're going to need a couple of AK-47s or AR-15s. And when the horde of people come around, what you need to do is shoot off about 100 rounds into the air. That'll scare them off. And then you need to be ready to defend yourself. I guess they got past my booby traps, I don't know. But the first thing is why are you shooting in the air? What goes up must come down. And they do come down at a velocity that's going to hurt you. So I'm not exactly sure why you're wanting to shoot up in the air. Those things could come back down on top of you and injure you, of course. But they're also going to come down on the people that you're trying to scare away, that you didn't want to kill in the first place. You just wanted to scare them away. So either way, you're going to hurt them. So I don't understand the idea behind that. Secondly, why are you wasting ammunition in an SHTF? That makes absolutely no sense. Do something to scare them away other than shooting off all your precious ammo. It's precious. You know, this dad today, he said, you know, you keep talking about how gold, you won't find gold valuable in an SHTF. There's things I'm going to want more than gold, like firewood or food. I'll be willing to trade those kind of things instead of gold. Because in an SHTF, to me, if you came up to me and said, hey, I got some gold, can I have some firewood? Or the guy behind you says, hey, I got some food, can I have some firewood? I'd take the food. Well, Dad says, I got it. I finally figured it out. He says, you're going to want to trade the gold so you can make bullets out of it. He said, the metal that is probably going to be the most precious in an SHTF is lead. Well, that's true. So why are you dispensing the most valuable asset you have in the air? Just wasting it. You're not going to be able to hunt because you just wasted all your ammo. Well, of course, you got to have the biggest and the baddest. I've always said you're going to want something that you can find easily, like ammo, that you can replace easily. In a society where you can't buy anything, you don't want really hard bullets to find. You want really easy bullets to find. You want to be able to go to the neighbor's house and they got like dozens of them, of boxes. And which one is that? Well, 22s. Now, hear me out on this, because I know every man's out there, oh no, you need the knockdown power of an AK-47. I've always had 22s. I've had 357 rifles and 30-06s, and I mean, I've got all that stuff. They were all stolen from me a long time ago, and I've never replaced them, but I did replace the 22s. So I even have a pistol that is a 22. It's a very, very reliable pistol, probably the best pistol I've ever owned. It's very accurate and it's easy to shoot. So when I was researching all this, one of the things that I found was a guy who said the gun that you're going to want to use for self-defense is the one that you are going to practice with the most, because that's the one that you're going to be the best with. So what would I practice with most? Well, I practice with the 22 because ammo is pretty cheap. A lot cheaper than 9mm or 357s. So I try to stock up on 22s. Now, I can shoot a deer. I've even had a neighbor who got several deers with 22s. You can get a deer, put a scope on it. You can get a deer in the head. You can't. Look, here's the thing. Knockdown power. That's not necessarily true. What you want is something that will penetrate and stop the heart or stop the brain function. And 22s can do that. I actually heard one time that the bullet that has killed the most people is the 22. If you think about it, the mafia, they didn't want to bring a lot of attention to themselves. Now, I don't know how true this is, but it sounds reasonable, that the mafia used 22s to do their, things because it was quiet, didn't make a lot of attention. You can shoot it, you don't have to have earplugs on. So I like 22s. To me, if I can shoot off a bunch of rounds out of this horde of people that are coming, first of all, I don't know, there's a YouTube channel that I watch all the time. He's on every day and he talks about self-defense every day. He always talks about this fibs factor or something like that. He talks about this fudge I'm being shot at or something like that, fibza or something. People are going to want to retreat if they see that there's a resistance. If people are coming to get your food, they're going to want to come someplace where they don't have to spend a lot of resources, ammo, which they may not have. I mean, think about these hordes of people coming from the cities. Well, we know that most cities are anti-gun. I mean, heck, Missouri is probably the most gun-friendly state. I know people are going to say, no, Texas is, but Missouri is very gun-friendly. And St. Louis and Kansas City, it's so anti-gun, it's crazy. So people are going to come to my place from St. Louis with guns that don't work. Because any guns they have, it's just like all the robberies that happen in St. Louis. They go in with a gun they have no ammo for. They stole the gun. If they do have a gun that has ammo in it, it was probably one they stole that was loaded when they stole it. So it's got 9, 10, 12 rounds in it. That's about it. And so they're going to travel 200 miles, probably walking, because SHTF, there's not going to be a lot of gas. And they're going to pass up all those cows and all those, farm animals, all the way down to my place and start a gunfight with me. Why? I mean, it just doesn't seem realistic. So the thing I see with people is they want to be, for lack of a better word, manly. They need to feel manly. It's in our instinct. It's our basic drive for men to feel manly. And they got to have this ability to go out and rustle down a bear or something. They have this imagination. So they come up with these crazy ideas that says the world is going to come down on me, my little spot in the world, and I'm going to have to just shoot off all these, like Rambo did back. I don't have this drive to be manly anymore. I say anymore because I used to, but when I came off grid and I learned to feed myself, to keep myself warm, to raise my own food, I realized this is manly. If you'll click this up next box, take to a video where I was talking about it's illegal for my wife to live off grid. So I hope I can inspire you to really live your dream so you don't have to feel manly. Thanks for watching.